Today, we're visiting a brave little squirrel who's just moved into a brand new home. It's a very exciting time, but as he soon discovers, new places can sometimes bring big surprises, especially at night. So, snuggle up, get comfy, and let's dive into the story of the noisy branch. Once upon a time, nestled deep within a vast, whispering forest, stood a colossal oak tree. Its branches reached for the sky like giant woody arms, and its leaves rustled with a million secrets. It was in this magnificent tree that a young squirrel named Squeaky had just made his home. His new nest was a cozy little hollow, lined with the softest moss and fluffiest dandelion seeds he could find. He had spent all day decorating, arranging his precious acorns in neat little rows and fluffing up his leafy bed. As the sun began to set, painting the sky in beautiful shades of orange and pink, Squeaky felt a wave of pride. This was his very own home, his castle in the canopy. Tired from his busy day, Squeaky curled up into a tiny, furry ball. He pulled his big, bushy tail over himself like a warm blanket. The forest was settling down for the night. The cheerful chirping of the daytime birds faded away, replaced by the gentle hum of crickets and the soft hoot of a distant owl. The moon cast a silvery glow through his doorway, and the gentle rustling of the leaves was like a lullaby. Squeaky closed his eyes, a happy little smile on his face, and drifted off into a sweet nut-filled dream. He dreamt he was bouncing on giant fluffy mushrooms and sliding down rainbows made of sunbeams. It was the perfect end to a perfect day. But then, in the deep, silent middle of the night, a strange sound jolted Squeaky awake. Thump-thump ... rumble. Thump-thump ... rumble. His eyes snapped open, wide as saucers. His heart started beating like a tiny drum against his ribs. What was that noise? It was loud. It was strange. It was coming from right outside his nest on his very own branch. Squeaky's ears twitched, and he held his breath, listening intently. The sound came again, louder this time. Thump-thump ... rumble, rumbles, nert. A shiver ran down Squeaky's spine. His cozy, safe home suddenly didn't feel so safe anymore. What could it be? His little mind raced, imagining all sorts of scary things. Was it a branch-stomping giant with feet as big as logs? Or maybe a grumpy, grumbling bear who had climbed the tree looking for honey? Or worse, could it be the legendary snuggle-toothed beast his cousin once told him about? With glowing red eyes and a roar that could shake the leaves from the trees, fear pricked at his fur, making it stand on end. He wanted to hide deep inside his nest and cover his ears, but the noise just kept going. Thump-thump ... rumble. Snut? Squeaky peeked nervously out of his doorway. The moon was bright, illuminating the branch in a pale, ghostly light. He couldn't see anything at first, just the familiar shapes of leaves and twigs. But the sound was undeniable, and it seemed to be getting closer. He knew he couldn't just stay hidden and be scared all night. He was a brave squirrel. He had gathered his own nuts, built his own nest, and now he had to protect it. Taking a deep, shaky breath, Squeaky decided he had to face whatever was out there. He had to be courageous. First, a brave squirrel needs a plan. Squeaky looked around his nest for something to defend himself with. His eyes landed on his row of prize acorns. 2. Grabbed the biggest, pointiest one he had. This would be his sword. Next, he needed a shield. He spotted the large, sturdy piece of bark he used as a doormat. Perfect. He held it up in front of him. Feeling a little more prepared, he tiptoed out of his nest. His little paws made no sound on the wood. He crept along the branch, his acorn sword held high and his bark shield ready, moving towards the mysterious, rumbling snores. Each step felt like a huge leap. The noise grew louder and louder as he got closer, Thump dash thump dot dot. Rumble. It sounded like a tiny thunderstorm was happening right there on his branch. Squeaky peered around a large cluster of leaves, his heart pounding. And there, sitting on the branch, was the source of the terrifying noise. But it wasn't a giant. It wasn't a bear. And it certainly wasn't the snargle-toothed beast. It was, an owl. A very large, very fluffy owl with big, feathery eyebrows. 2. The owl was fast asleep, his head tucked under one wing. And as he slept, his chest rose and fell, making the deep, rumbling sound. Thump dash thump dot dot. And with every breath out came a loud dot dot. Rumblesnut. The branch vibrated slightly with each snore. Squeaky stared, his acorn and bark shield still held tight. The moonlight shone on the owl's soft patterned feathers. He didn't look scary at all. In fact, he looked quite peaceful, just having a very, very loud dream. Squeaky lowered his acorn. A wave of relief washed over him, so big and sudden that it made him feel a little wobbly. All this time he had been terrified of a monster, but it was only a sleepy neighbor. The whole situation was suddenly very, very funny. The fear that had been a tight knot in his tummy unraveled into a giggle. The giggle started small, just a little squeak. But then he thought about how silly he must have looked, creeping along with his acorn sword, ready to fight a snoring bird. The giggle grew into a chuckle. Dear. And the chuckle grew into a full-blown fit of laughter. Squeaky laughed so hard he had to hold his sides, his whole body shaking with glee. The sound of his own happy laughter echoed softly in the quiet night. The scary noises weren't scary anymore. They were just snores. His laughter was so loud that it woke up the owl. He hooted softly, his voice deep and gentle. Squeaky, trying to catch his breath, peeked out from behind the leaves. "It's just me," he squeaked, wiping a tear of laughter from his eye. "I'm Squeaky. I live just over there." "Ew, you were snoring." The owl blinked again, looking a little embarrassed. "Oh my! Did I wake you?" "I am so dreadfully sorry. My name is Professor Hoot. It's a pleasure to meet you." Squeaky. Squeaky scampered closer, no longer feeling afraid. "It's nice to meet you too, Professor Hoot. I thought you were a monster," he confessed. Professor Hoot let out a soft chuckle that sounded like rustling leaves. "A monster? Oh, dear me. No, Jetu, sleepy old owl. I sometimes doze off on this branch. It has the best view of the moon." Squeaky looked up at the moon and then back at his new neighbor. The scary night had turned into a friendly meeting. They sat there for a while, two new friends on a moonlit branch, chatting quietly about the forest, the stars, and the best kinds of nuts and berries. As the first light of dawn began to peek over the horizon, Professor Hoot stretched his magnificent wings. "Well, Squeaky, it's time for me to get some proper sleep. I'm a night bird, you see. My day is just beginning when yours is ending." Squeaky nodded. "And my day is just about to start," he said cheerfully. "Professor Hoot," Squeaky added, "I'm really glad the monster was you." The wise owl smiled. "Me too, little friend." "Me too." From that night on, Squeaky was never afraid of those strange noises again. Sometimes he would still hear the familiar thump dash thump dot dot from his neighbor's favorite branch. But now, instead of feeling scared, he would just smile, roll over in his cozy nest, and think of his new loudly snoring friend. The big forest suddenly felt a lot less scary and a lot more like home.